Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, you are about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory.
That was Supreme Allied Commander and future President General Dwight Eisenhower in a recorded message to the Allied forces as they prepared to cross the English Channel and invade Nazi-occupied France. D-Day is a military term. It's meant to denote the start of any significant operation, and none in history, or recent memory anyway, has been as significant as June 6, 1944. Army Air Force Tech Sergeant Charles Richardson and his crew flew combat missions just as the first boats made it to Normandy. He retells his story as if it were yesterday.
I was very excited that day. Everyone was keyed up, waiting for this very moment. The memories I have coming in just minutes before the first men arrived on the beach. We bombed the heights with two 1,000-pound bombs. If you can imagine with me being in an airplane and releasing that much weight at one time, it sent the airplane skyward. I had a front row seat as we went back over the target area and could see the men coming in. Many of them didn't wait for the front of the boat to open up so they could get out. They jumped over the sides and started as fast as they could. As many of them made it, died there on the beach. As I watched, I cried because I could not help those boys as they were going ashore. Only happened in just a few minutes. It's been with me for a lifetime.
The story of June 6, 1944 has been and will be retold many times. My next guest has taken those firsthand accounts and compiled them in an extensive and illuminating book. It's called When the Sea Came Alive, an oral history of D-Day, and it's available now. Author Garrett Graff joins me now. Garrett, thanks for being with me. So when you started out with this book, what did you intend to do? And then as you compiled it, did that change?
Yeah, this book arrives at this 80th anniversary at a moment that I think we're all wrestling with this final passing of the greatest generation, the generation that won World War II and saved Western freedom and democracy. And my goal with this book was, we have at this moment effectively every first-person account and memory of D-Day that we will ever have. And so my hope was to gather those voices and tell the story of D-Day in the first person, in the voices of those who participated. And this book brings together about 700 of those voices from all across the conflict, all different sides, Allied troops, British, French civilians, and as well as German defenders. And I think what was so interesting to me, and you know about writing history as well, every book surprises you as a writer. And when you start to write a book on D-Day, you're like, okay, so the book begins, noon on June 5th, maybe? And then you realize that really the success of D-Day took place in the planning in the weeks, months, and years ahead of D-Day itself. And so really about the first third of this book is the planning. It's the story of Roosevelt and Churchill and Ike and Monty and all of those big names of history coming together to plan this second front and deliver the Allied troops in this incredibly audacious moment to the shores of continental Europe.
And Garrett, it was an extraordinary act of sacrifice for those men who hit the beaches. What did you learn about the idea that was in their heads? In other words, not the planners, but the people who had to go hit the sand and hope to God they'd make it.
Yeah. What I love about oral history, what I think the unique power of it is that it puts you back in the footsteps of the participants, knowing only the things that they knew at that moment. I think when you write narrative history, and I've certainly written plenty of narrative history myself, there's a tendency to make events seem neater, cleaner, simpler, more linear, more predetermined than they felt to anyone at the time. And so, we view D-Day as this historic, courageous triumph. Well, when you read the letters of the soldiers on the landing craft, the ships crossing the English Channel on the night of June 5th, that they're writing home to their families, when you hear the stories of the paratroopers in the planes crossing the Channel into the dark Normandy sky on the night of June 5th, they're not feeling particularly courageous. They're not feeling particularly brave. They're lonely. They're scared. They're wondering if their training will hold up, whether they have what it will take to perform in combat, and whether they will let down their friends and comrades that next day. And of course, the big question for all of them that night, whether they will live to see the end of the next day. And for 4,000 Allied soldiers, of course, they didn't.
And how did this event, we heard a little bit of it in the piece leading up to our conversation, stay then with those who went through this extraordinary day for the rest of their lives?
Yeah, the veteran that you spoke to there, it sounds like a very sort of typical memory in many ways. I mean, you listen to these oral histories taken decades after the fact, and they can remember the smallest details. The way that the water felt when they plunged into the English Channel, the smell of the apple blossoms as they landed in the Normandy fields as paratroopers. To them, this was a sensual, all five senses 3D experience in a way that they never forgot. And this was, of course, a generation that was pretty reticent to talk about their war experience. And so in many ways, the oral histories and memories that we have are minor miracles onto themselves, that we're going to be able to tell future generations what it was like to live this day and this battle. An invasion launched, unlike almost every other invasion in human history, not to conquer or to seize, but to liberate. The men who fought that day, the reason that this sticks with us, the mythology of D-Day, is that the men fought that day for one of the most noble causes humans have ever fought for.
Excellently put. Once again, the book is When the Sea Came Alive. Garrett Graff, congratulations and thank you.